Hey guys, MCU Collector here with the next video in the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Spider-Man Wave 10 SPDR Spider Build-A-Figure. Here we have the 2-for-1 special Cloak and Dagger. So we're going to be doing the two together as well. They should be, and I always thought that they would actually do this in a 2-pack, but I guess they went the Spider-Man Wave route, and I know that their origins are actually within the Spider-Man comics, so I guess that makes sense, you know, their first appearance. But we'll kind of take a look, and we'll talk about the figures because the TV show is on now on Freeform, so we'll talk about it a bit. But packaging really cool. The Cloak and Dagger, they actually share the same packaging. You see the Cloak and Dagger logo down here at the bottom. Up at the top, they have a special Cloak and Dagger logo looking really cool. You see a little C and a D, and then there's a dagger in there. So that's pretty cool. Artwork on the side is the same. Let's see. You can see Cloak and Dagger, Tyrone, and Tandy. So really cool. On the back of the package, same thing. You have the proto shot of the figures. Bio reads, Tandy Bowen channels her unrivaled possession of light force into signature light dagger weapons, earning herself the name Dagger. Now, Cloak, his bio reads, a hooded vigilante in the war on drug crimes, Tyrone Johnson uses powers of darkness as Cloak. And then as a reminder, here is the entire wave. Here's the SPDR Spider Build-A-Figure, Doc Ock, Scarlet Spider, Elektra. Then here we are on 3 and 4, Cloak and Dagger, and then Daredevil and House of M Spider-Man. So really cool. The UPC for Cloak, the UPC for Dagger. There they are, guys. Let's open these up and take a look at the figures. Here they are, Cloak and Dagger out of the package. Some really cool things about the figures. We'll kind of get into it. First, we'll just take a look at the Build-A-Figure pieces. So here we have the SPDR Spider mech suit head, or helmet, I guess it would be. Really cool. A nice gloss red to it. Nice solid yellow paint for the eyes. And then this clean looking black. Well, I guess it kind of misses the mark a little bit. Right in front, we can get it to focus in, but not so bad. A little bit of yellow lines in the red there. That's kind of weird looking at. I guess it's kind of hard to see on camera, but really cool. The silver on these tubes came out clean, but we'll look at the Build-A-Figure all on its own together as we kind of get to it. Now the torso piece and the head comes with Cloak. The torso piece comes with Dagger, and I'm actually surprised at the size of this. I didn't think it was going to be this big, so I'm really curious to see this Build-A-Figure all together and kind of how it measures up with some of the other figures. I think it's going to be huge, and I'm surprised at how heavy this torso piece actually is. I didn't think it was going to be this big or this bulky and actually weigh this much, so I'm kind of surprised. But some really cool looking detailing in there, the red paint over the silver. And you have the kind of this gray gunmetal. One thing that's gonna probably drive me crazy, and I think it's gonna be hard to see, is the kind of little paint splotch right there, where it just kind of missed the mark a little bit on the yellow, or it just didn't quite cover it. But that's okay. But we'll look at more detail as we do the last video, and then actually put the Spider Build-A-Figure together. So really cool. But here we have Cloak and Dagger. So I guess we'll go with Cloak first because Cloak and Dagger is their team, so Cloak comes first in the name. Alphabetical order, too, I guess. So really cool looking figure. This Cloak is massive. It's huge. And Dagger doesn't want to stay standing. If you guys watched the Elektra video that I just did not long ago, it's because it's the same body. These skinny legs don't want to stand up. There she goes again. Anyway, Dagger, Cloak, excuse me, I'm going to keep probably mixing those up this whole time, but Cloak. Really awesome looking figure. The Cloak itself is really nice. And if you guys are watching the show on Freeform, you'll know that he actually, I guess I don't want to give it spoilers away, but there is a Cloak in there, and it does have the blue stripes. So that's really cool. We'll see if we can get Elektra standing back up. We got figures falling everywhere. That's those skinny legs on these female figures. Anyway, but the Cloak is awesome. It's actually pretty heavy. But it is pretty soft. It's actually not hard. So, I mean, you can move it around. It's not going to stay. It'll just, revert right back to its original form. But it is bulky and really cool looking. We look at the details. The paintwork is really nice and clean in it. The black and the well, it's more like a dark blue and a blue, but I don't know. It doesn't really look black, but it does come out looking really good. I really like the way it looks. Actually, having it in person, it's pretty awesome looking. You can see here there's a little bit of silver paint on where it's going to kind of buckle together, and you could just see that it's going to clip right on in there, and it comes off pretty easily, clips on pretty nicely, and you can take it off. And there's nothing going on the inside. It just all flat and everything. There's no detail, nothing. So really cool. But you could see, I mean, you can move it around. It's pliable. It can be moved around and it'll just go back to its original form. And it just kind of stands there too. Helps get the figure to stand up. So here is the Cloak figure. And this is pretty cool. It's basically, it's not quite black. It's, God, it's almost like a deep, dark blue or purple. But I would not call it black. I know on camera it's going to look black, but actually in person, it's really hard to say. It almost has the bluish hue, but maybe it is black. Maybe my eyes are just playing games on me, but really cool. Now, I believe this is the Grim Reaper mold. Correct me if I'm wrong with the huge shoulders. Yeah, I believe it's the Grim Reaper mold. So not a whole lot there. You're not going to really be able to pose Cloak around so much with the cloak on him, but I mean, we'll go over the articulation real quick anyway. Shoulders only go out that far because of these large shoulder balls there. Full rotation, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows like all the rest, swivel and hinge on the wrist, ab crunch, ooh, down one, up one, waist swivel, legs go out that far apart, upper thigh cut, double jointed knee, boot swivel, hinge up a little bit, hinge all the way down, ankle pivot. Not a whole lot there. Now, the head sculpt pops off very, very easily. And you can see that the hood from the cloak is actually part of the head sculpt. So it is not a separate piece. I'm sure you could just kind of pop it off because it's probably just glued in there. But it is together, and this looks really good. It kind of has silver paint for the eyes. The facial hair, the goatee came out looking really good. Looks nice, but, and somebody on Instagram had kind of mentioned this as well, that in the comics, I believe they are still teenagers in the comics. So Tyrone looks very old. Same with Dagger. She doesn't. I wouldn't say that she looks like a teenager either, but. They definitely look like adults, but I believe in the comics they are still teenagers. The show, they're teenagers, and the show is very good, but he definitely looks older than he probably should. Just clip on, and then, so when putting the cloak on, make sure that the hood is up, so when you put it on, it'll kind of fit over a little bit easier, and you don't even have to worry about how his feet are, because that cloak is going to get him to hold it up, get him to stand up on his own. Now, Dagger, this is the typical female body that we see with all the other figures. The same with Elektra. It's the same exact body, the thin legs and everything. But here you see the paint, the skin tone, flesh, right here down the center, giving it that Dagger look that she has in the comics as her costume. A little bit of white paint on her hands to come through with part of her costume. And it comes off looking okay. They actually painted the hinge, which was nice. But then on the inside of the hand, the hinge is white, so that kind of looks a little funky, I guess, on both sides. There. The hair looks really good. There's actually a nice wash in the hair. You can see, so it's not just a bright yellow color. There's some brown wash to give it that dirty blonde look, so that comes out looking really good. Face sculpt-wise, looks really good as well. Now, it looks familiar, like the face sculpt has been used before, and maybe it's just a new hair. I'd have to go back and kind of dig through my other figures and see if it's the same, but it could be a new one, but it does look familiar, and I'm trying to think of which figure it could be, and I just can't place it. But anyway, the paint apps on the head sculpt came out looking really clean. Hasbro did a good job applying the paint for the eyes, if I can get it to focus, and then the lipstick, and then the white over her eye, the C, I guess. Not sure what's what what that's for, but it is very clean. You can see it's straight lines, good line work, no problems there. As far as articulation, she can look all the way down. You can look slightly up, but again, the hair really gets in the way. Arms go out that far, full rotation, no bicep swivel at the elbow, but you only get about 90 degrees on that elbow. Wrist hinges and swivels, diaphragm joint. She can pivot there, pivot that way. Very little front, more so to the back. Legs go out that far apart. Upper thigh cut, double jointed knee. Foot hinge it all the way down. Ankle doesn't really go up. The foot really catches right there at that part, so it's not going up any more than that. And then of course you have ankle pivot that actually is kind of tough to work. I can't get it to pivot the other way. That just might be mine. Have to look at that. But now, as far as accessories, Dagger actually comes with this throwing dagger accessory, which is kind of tricky on how you can kind of get it to look. But like if you look at the back of the package here, you see the motion that she has it. So I'm thinking that's an upward motion and she's throwing it is kind of how you're gonna, is the idea that Hasbro was going for. So it just clips right onto her wrist. So you can see there, clips on very easily and it stays. So depending on how you do it, the throwing action is gonna look kind of odd. So my only thought is that if she's doing like an underhand throw, like if you go in this motion, an underhand throw, that would kind of be it. But you want to get it to point where the daggers are going straight out. So she's got, basically, think of it as like an underhand upward motion of throwing the daggers. And I could be wrong. Some people, you know, ACBA guys and toy photography, those that really pose your figures around, you might be able to get a different look for that. That's the only idea that I really have as far as how that's going to look. So again, it's kind of that upward motion, the daggers being thrown out. So if you see actually in the TV show, she actually can get those daggers. She can manifest those daggers and they just kind of disappear. Whereas in the first episode, it may have been the second episode, she used it. And then the latest episode, she was able to just kind of, I think she's finally gaining control over it and can really just kind of manifest them on her own. But there we have it, Cloak and Dagger together. Awesome looking figures. These are the first 6-inch figures for Cloak and Dagger, I believe. Never have we had it in a Marvel Legends line or with Hasbro or even Toy Biz. Again, I really thought they would have gone the route of the 2-pack with this because it just had 2-pack written all over it. Hey, Cloak and Dagger, small team, 2, perfect way to get them out there. But here in the Spider-Man wave, but you definitely can't go wrong. I think these are going to be pretty popular figures. Cloak looks awesome just in the package. Dagger looks okay. Who knows if we're going to see one peg warmer versus the other or if everybody's going to buy them in pairs. I guess we'll just kind of wait and see how that's all going to work. But really cool figures. I'm very happy to have these. I actually do enjoy the show, so it's nice that these would come out right around the time that the show is actually out for everyone to enjoy. But there you have it, Cloak and Dagger. If you guys have any questions, leave comments down below. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and thank you for watching.